Awesome, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of It Is What It Is podcast. I am your host, Cody Kelly. Look, I appreciate all my guests and I appreciate my audience. I appreciate everybody. If you want to keep appreciating this, you got to do two things. You got to follow me on Instagram at CVMK33 and on YouTube at CV space K, where all great content is heard, seen, and felt. So I am back with an amazing episode with an amazing person featuring entrepreneur, podcast host, creative, really the next, I guess Jeff Bezos in a sense, Jackie Phillips, aka JP. JP, how you doing today?
I'll take that. I'm good. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime. I'm well. I'm just just trying to get everything together, moving forward. Doing all the positive energy that I can do with. So no, everything is well. I'm super excited about this. With that being said, talk to us about the process, because you have a lot of people out there who they get their cool logo. They get their microphone, their podcast microphone. They get their headphones. They might even get a website.
Yeah.
And they're off to the races. But are they really building something sustainable? Something that can have longevity and a future? And beyond the monetization efforts of it, just an overall focus of progressive intent, execution, and then growth. So talk to us about that process, JB.
So for me, the process it started with the plan, right? So, before the microphone and all of that, I'm a business coach and strategist. So it has to make sense to me, right? And you said the word sustain, highly important, because the biggest thing in the world of podcasting is consistency. And that's where you see people start to it becomes a chore, right? Because they didn't plan it to where they don't have to chase it. So for us, it was about the plan. We made sure that it would be something that we could sustain for many years, right? At the pace that we record and release content, we can do this comfortably for the next 5 years and not break a sweat. So that was important because I'm just not the type to start something and then have to chase it, right? I don't mind building it. I don't want to chase it. And I feel like that's what a lot of people do. There are a lot of folks who are release content every week. God bless you. That does not work for my formula for a few reasons. For one, I feel like, especially now with the decrease in attention span, you have to work a little bit harder to promote your content. And if you're releasing something every week, it becomes overkill. That's just these are all my opinions. I am by no means saying that this is the end all be all. There are people who, release every week and that's their thing and they group. But for me and my formula and the processes that work for us, bi-weekly has been the formula that we were able to release quality content, monetize, and sustain. So for us, it was really sitting down, for a while, and maybe for 30 days, we just sat down and made sure that we were comfortable with how we were going to move forward. And then before we got to the point where we were even doing anything visual, we wanted to make sure that our chemistry was on point and that we were comfortable with the content. We were comfortable with just who we would be as personalities. And then as we started to grow our listenership, more and more opportunities came from monetization to now becoming a television show. So you have to start with the plan. Like, that's great. I'm sure there are so many awesome podcasts out there and hosts and producers who are frustrated with the process because that prep work wasn't done. I can usually trace it back to prep work.
I like that. You mentioned, you said building, not chasing. A lot of people don't know the difference because it can feel similarly, right? If it's like,
Yeah.
well, if I'm building it, obviously I'm chasing a dream, right? That's how somebody might see it.
Yeah.
But I think the difference is in intent. And then I think the other add-on is uh the personal why, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
chasing is like, I gotta be big, right? Well, building is like, no, we want to make sure that the door is 12 by 8. Like it's a different mindset because it's about the holistic picture and the little details that fit in the framework versus the what I would call the ripple effect, right? So
Right.
how do you
Right.
when you're coaching, when you're advising, you're consulting, organizations, individuals, what should they start with? How should they go about this? Because a lot of times it doesn't matter if it's a podcast, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a church, it could be a business, it could be a gym, it could be a burger joint.
Yeah.
How it's like it's passion. I'm passionate about this. I'm called to be, bishop of the French fries. So like, and how do and then they start making decisions based off of passion. But the
Yeah.
problem is there's no empirical evidence
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
passion. So
Yeah.
where should they start?
You have to start with purpose, right? So if your purpose is, to grow a platform or to really put your content out there or to really build your French fry business, you really have to have your mindset wrapped around that purpose. My One of my very first mentors told me, as long as I move in purpose, my passion will show, and then the money will show up in my purse.
I
And
like that.
though I don't carry a purse, I get exactly what he was saying. Um, as long as I am moving forward, and this is something that I coach to, I lead to this. Um, I push the purpose. I push the purpose, and you can talk to me for 5 minutes, and you'll feel my passion for what I do, right? So all I have to do is just you can say, "What do you do?" And once you have that conversation with me, you'll feel the passion that I have for what I do. And by leading with love and leading and pushing purpose, I'm able to take care of my family doing stuff that I love.
That makes a lot of sense. The money is in the purpose.
Yeah.
Um, is it just that it's hard for individuals to say my purpose is this,
Oh yeah,
right?
because you have
Like,
to
is it?
do. Yeah, you have to do some work to get there, right? And sometimes that work is from the inside out.
Hmm.
Right, and that's what I mean by that prep work, right? So I'll give an example. Testimony Tuesday Radio is it started out as a monthly open mic that we were live streaming.
Wow.
No joke. So we did that for about a year and a half, and then we got the opportunity to take the platform on the road, and we called it the reverse tour. So we actually took the platform to different cities and introduced the platform to different cities. Now, our purpose behind Testimony Tuesday Radio is, we want people to praise their way, whatever your way is, right? Because
Sure,
most
sure.
people think about praise, they think about vocalists and musicians and maybe praise dancers. Well, you're looking at somebody who doesn't do any of that really, right? But there are poets, there are authors, there are motivational speakers, there are people who praise and expose their gifts and give thanks in different ways, and that's the purpose of our platform, right? So once we sat down,
Right.
being strategic, we knew that that was our driving purpose, and so we did that, and then we took a break. We actually took a break for a while. So it's myself TB2 and DJ Radar. I was booked heavily internationally, and TB2 went on tour. And
Yeah.
so we had to take a little bit of a break. And then, folks started hitting us up like, hey, what y'all doing? Like, what's going on?
Right.
So then we took a step and said, okay, well, let's suggest. And we started to do quarterly events. And then we were, blessed with meeting a woman by the name of Ellie Thornton. And she was just like, you guys should do a show. You guys should, think about doing a show. And so we talked about it, all of that. I had a plan, set it up. And so the plan is I would produce, DJ Radar would take care of all the music, and TB2 would host. And he would host with rotating guest hosts.
Sure.
Well, the first 5 guest hosts did not show. And so instead of just, being mad about it or being frustrated about it, we used the time to kind of practice, if you will, right? So, TB would basically interview me and we would have dialogue. And so um, one day, Miss Ellie was just like, that's it. It's not meant for y'all to have those other guests. Like, the chemistry between you all is beautiful and you should do something with it. So again, we went back to the huddle, had some talks about it, and here we are 6 years in as a podcast, a radio show, television show, and soon to be hitting Roku TV.
Wow. How why do you think that there is what I call the immediate excitement, right? Like anytime you do anything, it's like, yeah, we're on board, like you mentioned in the first 5, guest hosts didn't show. What does it seem like whenever there is synergy, there is disappointment to follow? Is that a sign that you're on the right track?
I think so. And I think it really is. I think when you have that disappointment, I honestly think that it's God trying to get your attention, right?
Hmm.
So for us, I think He was telling us we had everything that we needed, right? We had what we needed to push the platform. So I think um, as difficult as it is to not get frustrated, not get disappointed, really look within and say, okay, so if I'm disappointed about, maybe whatever didn't show up, who didn't show up, or maybe it didn't go the way that I planned for it to go, look for the lesson in it. Look for, that may be a God nudge saying, nah, that's not what you need. A lot of times that no is protecting you from something.
That's true. I like that. The no is protecting you for something. Would you say that in the process, right, going through kind of the highs and the lows, clarity is revealed? And this is something that I think, speaks to that purpose indicator. You don't know. You only have a thought, and then you try to map out what the thought could potentially look like. So you start kind of throwing things at the wall, seeing if this sticks. Does this stick?
Right.
Does this move?
Yeah.
But in doing, you start seeing yourself more clearly, and you start seeing it more clearly. And you start saying,
Yes.
gotcha, not that, this, that,
Yeah.
this, not this, that, right? Right? Like you just start seeing it kind of connect. But I think where a lot of leaders, entrepreneurs, humans in general, where they drop the mic. I don't know. I'm just listening to a bunch of TJ Servant. He's been using drop the mic lately. When they drop the ball, when they drop the mic, is that, and I said this, initial success or seen success is uh, is counterproductive. So it's like once you get the first 100 views, or once you
Mhm.
get the first 100 subscribers, once you get the blue check, or you get the first 1,000 views, and all of a sudden this falsity of fame that is not true, right, starts to kind of set in. It distorts vision. Can you talk to us about the dangers of fame and what I would call false success?
Oh yeah. So I think I think it's a mindset
Yeah.
thing, right? So I think you know there's this really delicate balance, right? Because you should absolutely celebrate your first 100 subscribers. You should absolutely celebrate your first 1,000 downloads. You should absolutely do those things because they're meaningful. However, once you have that celebration, you have to understand that there's more work to do, right? There's more work to do, and in your purpose, if you're driving in your purpose, you'll realize that, like, okay, that's a milestone. Everything is a milestone in your purpose, and so it is a dangerous game to uh, celebrate the end all be all too early. And what you want to do is, you want to be centered. You want to center your mindset. You want to understand that, um, to be a champion at anything, you have to work harder. Every time you hit a milestone, now what? Now what? Right? Celebrate the victory. 100% celebrate that victory. But at the same breath, when you um, are celebrating, you should be asking for guidance to what's next, whatever your next is. And I think, I know there's a lot of pressure to appear a certain way and be this way. Like you said, you want the blue check. Oh, I'm an influencer and I'm this, that, and that. Well, that's fantastic. But are you impactful?
Right. Right.
Right? Can you say that you've literally impacted people in a way that is positive and productive, and that you are adding value? Like, I never have to be called by any title, but if I am living in my purpose, driving my purpose, I
Mm-hmm.
know that I will, because people will let me know, like, hey, what you said or what you did or what you helped guide me through added value to my life in this way. So I think for those who get kind of lost in the clouds, the way to stay leveled out is to
Right.
think about your purpose, and your purpose is literally to live in your gifts and to lead from those gifts at all times.
No, no, you're absolutely right. How do we how and I think the real talk track is we have to shift from influencing to actually positively impacting, right? Being impactful, like you mentioned.
Yes.
Because I think like everybody's an influencer. I'm an influencer. What does that mean now? It used to mean something like I influence. That would basically
Yeah.
say you have power to shape decisions, right?
Yes.
But now influencer doesn't mean shaping decisions. It means I have the power to be heard. I mean, it has deduced itself to something that, is basically saying you should listen to me, but it's not qualified, right?
Right.
So how do we make sure that for those leaders out there, they're impactful. They're not just focusing on influencing. They're not just focusing on their specific image, but they're actually focusing on what they can actually produce.
If you are a leader and you want to measure your your leadership, if you really are being an impact, a positive impact, uh, the people around you will tell you, right? So we'll start from the outside, then go to the inside. The people around you will be growing. They'll develop into leaders, right, in their own right, because true influencers and leaders develop more leaders, right? You don't develop sheep, you You develop
Right.
more leaders because you're confident in your lane, so you don't worry about that. You give your gift right the way that it was intended, and that's your job. That's it. So your job is to develop more leaders. If you are in a circle of people and those people aren't pushing and elevating on a regular basis, you should check your influence,
Yeah. I
right?
mean, that makes sense.
And then internally, if you are um, struggling with you, right? And but this is something that you love to do and that you are passionate about doing, you have
Right.
to check your influence because the first person that you influence is you,
That's true. That's true. That's true.
right?
That's true. The first person you influence and impacted yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
That's true. I know for myself, I think I've had to really look at the why and then to me focus on really what I want to cover. I think when I first started, it was like I want to make a big splash, right? And it was like I wanted to push and it was cool, and I was getting, I guess some results, but as you keep doing it, it's no longer about the splash effect, right? Because the splash can't um, nurture you. It's this, but when it's over, right? So you start
yes,
looking at, well, really, what am I here to do? What am I trying to convey? What's my true value proposition? And I want people to gather around, right? What do I really want to give the world?
yes,
And I
yes.
started to realize like I need to reel it back some, and not be so, 20 guests on the show. I started looking at my earlier episodes. I was like, they were good. They were good. But I felt too on fire, not on purpose.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right? And
yeah,
there's
yeah,
a
yeah.
difference. It was passion. It was pure. It was passionately driven. It was like woo, but it wasn't the what I would say the consciousness of who I am, right? So then you start realizing like, okay, I'm gonna figure this out
Yeah.
and go forward. So, I know, run out of time, but I do want to hit you. I know you got the Roku channel going. So tell us about this. You're in development, you got the Roku channel going, you have literally content and whatnot. What's on the horizon for you?
So the Roku channel, we're developing content, looking for content. So we're going to be hosting some pitch parties for folks who are looking to get their content out on the Roku channel. We're also developing content for a station here in St. Louis, ABC 30. So building content there. And I'm also with a fantastic group of people developing a creatives institute. And so why that became important to me is, I'm a strategist. So doing research and figuring out like how many people who are passionate, talented, and they have all of the means aren't being pushed. And I realized that a lot of folks don't get into the back end of the business, and
Right.
really understanding, to set up processes, to set up, making sure your paperwork is correct, having conversations that need to involve NDAs, having production agreements, understanding split sheets, understanding their role as a producer, as a director, as a creative, really understanding that and really understanding how to build relationships to have those sponsors and partnerships that, of course, everyone wants, right? To be able to push their content. So, 2021 is a very busy year, but a blessed one, right? A blessed one. We're getting to impact lives and really, the blessing is seeing people actually live out their passions. And it's not the crazy thing about this is it's hard work, but I promise you it doesn't feel like a chore. We're not chasing it, right? We're not chasing it. and it's a beautiful thing. So be on the lookout for Unheard TV this summer. It's coming this summer 2021. We're gonna do some sneak peeks and some invite only kind of things to build up to starting in like June. But that's my world is surrounded by content creation right now and
Awesome.
educating.
Actually, I look forward to it. I need to take some of those classes so I can focus on my own craft.
Absolutely.
Well, look, JP, where can the people connect with you? Where can they follow you, support? Obviously, you mentioned the Roku channel. We know that summer 2021 is going to be a hot time, but where can they connect with you right now?
You can always hit the website unheardmedia.biz, unheardmedia.biz. On Facebook, I am JP CEO. On Instagram and Twitter, I am only the number one JP CEO. You can email me, jp at unheardmedia.biz. Just connect, have a conversation. I know a lot of people, um, they'll say, I've been wanting to reach out to you, but I haven't. I know you're busy. I'm like, you gotta have a conversation to get on the calendar, right?
I,
So you have to have a conversation. So reach out. You have some content, or if you have an idea for content, we're definitely looking to collaborate with people who are willing to invest in getting our stuff out.
Look, guys, connect with JP. She is a godsend. JP has been instrumental as far as when and I have a question, I can just ask, and sometimes I get shot down, like don't do that. But at the same time, you want to be coached correctly. You don't want to just
Yeah.
make decisions and mistakes, and now you have to reinvent the wheel. You want to be able to really hone in. So connect with JP, follow her on Instagram, go to the Unheard Business, go to the website. When the Roku channel drops, watch, because I always say get supported, and the cool thing about support, it's free. Connect with JP. You want to keep seeing amazing influencers and leaders like JP, you got to do two things: hit me up on Instagram and subscribe when it pops up to the YouTube page below, YouTube at CV space K. I appreciate my guests. Till next time, guys. Thanks.
Peace.
Hey, what's up, everybody? You like what you saw? Were you entertained? Were you informed? We want to keep seeing amazing content. Subscribe at the link below, YouTube CV space K. You connect where all podcasts are streaming: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor. Connect with me. I want to connect with you. Let's enjoy the ride.